Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer1745 here with my continuing playthrough of Hearts of Iron 3 with Black Ice 9.11, and we're battling everybody, many different places. Okay, well, up here. Now, we don't like losing ships or things. That's why we sent these guys up here, but I see. Yeah, I'm going to keep. You can leave if you don't want me to ever compare the two. And yeah, in a way, I am trying to sell Hearts of Iron 4. But I'm totally there that it isn't there now. But see, like I sent this task force, don't know exactly, it's not really a fleet up here. I really love that I can send air units to a new base, and as I send, you know, give them orders to go to the new base. Okay, you're going to the new base, but then I want you to fly in this zone doing this type of task, so I can just do that and then walk away. I love that. Again, we can talk about other problems with the air situation. My biggest is, well, the biggest is that they teleport. They don't have to fly through successive air zones. The second biggest is either the air zones are way too effing big, or you can only operate in one air zone at a time. So if you have an air zone the size of a province, you got to constantly micromanage it or split the stuff up. If they're, you know, air zone the size of Sweden, well, we're flying World War I aircraft and they can only cover this little bit of it. But they can cover this little bit perfectly fine. But yeah, but we have no troops up here, but we're only worrying about, you know, tactical ground forces, but they can't cover, you know, that's the problem. You have an air zone the size of Sweden. That's a pretty big territorial area. I know this projection of the map probably distorts Sweden's size a little bit, but still, it's pretty big. Just no one lives there because it's too cold. Yeah, but yeah, I know they live in Stockholm and a few cities, but you know what I mean. If it was so nice, there would be condos thick like Southern California along the coastline. Yeah, that's why we know it's too cold. But so, you know, air zone of Scandinavia, yeah, it's too big. And then, but then if you make them too small, you know, say base some air units here that could get this sort of bit of southern Sweden, as well as, you know, Denmark region, as well as sort of this sort of northern bit of Germany or something, you know, so that they could operate from here. So yeah, there are problems. Yeah, I totally get that Hearts of Iron 4 isn't the answer to everything, at least not as it is now, but it is an answer to, I love some elements of it. Okay, we're going to patrol. Let's do passive. So if you get damage, but we have the seaplane tender, the Swabenland, that should help suppress submarines. These guys, a little bit suppress submarines, just because I'm guessing that that may be subs. Bombay, we've won the Battle of Bombay, good. And we've won the battle, oh, we're pushing in here, good. Great. Now that I have Bombay, in between episodes I try to do some of the work. I loaded on basically everything except for the command, because he's still in command range there, so I'm leaving von Manstein there for the moment at least, because I think if we don't push Panzergruppe Kleist too far east, he can stay in command range. So they're staying in command range of von Brauchitsch. I like that, in that von Brauchitsch will continue to, yeah, it's not that much, but it still continues to creep up in experience. And we're effectively using his, you know, quartermaster and logistics wizard traits to reduce supplies on very many units. We'll give this a day or so, and then we'll start sending supplies in through there, which will help our supply problems. reorganize the Slovak Army Corps. We will do this. We didn't do this when we were at war before, and then we waited too long. Okay, as the campaign in the east drew on, the Slovak forces began to fall behind the Germans' sweep across the Soviet Union, mainly because of the lack of mobile forces able to transport the 45,000 strong Slovak army group. As a result of the inability to keep up with the German advance, in August 41 the Slovak contingent was reformed. A mobile unit combining all motorized elements of the Slovak army group was created. The first Slovak mobile infantry division was also known as the Slovak Fast Division. Other elements were used to form the second Slovak Security Infantry Division to take over rearguard duties. The Fast Division took part in the German advance into the Caucasus, where it played a notable role in the assault and capture of Rostov. Okay. Okay. I almost didn't do it. I'm glad there's an option to not do it. I didn't do it before because... Okay, these are the security division, fine. But we're still going to move it very far east, even though it is militia. And the Fast Division. That would have been good, and I didn't know where it was. I was expecting it to show back up here. And I just didn't want to have to take the time to move it to the forward. And this is something that I'm really noticing with Hearts of Iron 4, and why I think some people, one of the elements, there's several, but one of the elements that people go into, it's too arcade or too you know, just too simple or whatever. It's not a sophisticated war game. Some of it is it just its look and feel. Some of the stuff in the way the combat handles is more sophisticated than Hearts of Iron 3, but because it doesn't have railroads, neither does this. And yeah, I know that's abstracted with infrastructure, blah da blah da blah da blah. Heard it enough. Is the time that it takes, you know, how long does it take to move a unit from Berlin to Moscow via railways? Okay, you have to load it onto trains. So, you know, if you're going to take the unit, not just the troops, we're not just, okay, everybody on board the train, go, but you've got to load either the box cars or the flat cars. And you can fit some vehicles into box cars, but not easily. So definitely all the tanks, you know, are going on flat cars. Flat cars are easy to make, so those are the easiest things to have a lot of. But box cars, for the ammo, now you can stack, you know, palletize it after a fashion, and, you know, stack the ammo up on flat cars and put, you know, oiled canvases over it, you know, to keep the weather off of it, you know, for flour, you know, if you want, you know, I mean, you can pack bags of flour relatively watertight, you know, on a flat cars and strap it down, so you can use flat cars for most things. Now, of course, you know, you can use flat cars to stack 50-gallon, you know, oil drums or whatever, but of gasoline. You know, obviously you can use tanker cars too to fill them up, so you can do some things more efficiently. But if you're going to move a division, and it's sort of ammo, and maybe it's fuel, and it's supplies, and it's tents, and all of its junk, you know, everything in a division, it's going to take a while to load it up. Now, you don't just have, you know, if myself or me and, you know, 10 friends were trying to load up a flat car or a box car full of stuff. It's going to take us a lot of while, because, you know, we're going to load it onto a truck or a wagon, you know, from the depot, you know, from the storage depot, take it to the railway. Even if it's just 500 feet, you got to take it, you know, to there. Then you got to unload it into it. But you have thousands of men, because you have the division's troops itself, load under supervision, load up the rail car. So it takes a day or two. It doesn't take too long, but it takes a while, and the more you do it, the faster you get at it. And that's why you have some load masters who know what you're doing and just sort of direct the situation. So you got to load it up there, and then, you know, I don't know how many days. You know, somebody could do the math and figure out how many days, and it's probably on some rail schedule for non-bullet train. Okay, but it takes a while to get to Moscow. but not super long. But it takes a while. And then once you get to Moscow, you got to unload. Okay. With Hearts of Iron 3, the strategic movement, I think, is too slow. Now, strategic movement is based on, as best as I can tell, and I'm not the best person for some of the details of game mechanics, so I'm sorry if I'm getting some of this wrong, and if you've got some deep and intricate question, go ahead and ask it. I'll give you some sort of like, I don't know, or I think this, but if somebody else can answer it better, please do. Game mechanics. But generally, from looking at it, it's affected by terrain and infrastructure levels, is how fast things move, even in strategic redeployment. Where, you know what? If we were to put, I don't know, let's say the Rocky Mountains in between Moscow and Berlin, it's not going to slow up a properly built rail system any significant amount, because sure there may be some twists and turns, which obviously lengthens the track distance, but good rail systems bore through mountains, and so if there's a big swamp you got to go through, they just build the railways. Railways aren't building. Building the railways through the mountains, building the railways through the swamp could be incredibly, because some people have sort of complained about my event increasing the infrastructure here, basically the rail system in Turkey. You shouldn't do it. It's a bad choice to do it. But you can do it if you want to. But because this is, if you look at the terrain, it's incredibly difficult to do it. They've yet to build a railroad. And there was plans to build a railroad. The Kaiser's Reich, before World War I and during World War I, wanted to have a Berlin to Tehran rail links. They've yet to do it through Turkey. There may be rail links up through the Soviet Union or, nowadays Russia, and some of the other states through to Europe now, there may be, but there are no Turkic to Iran rail links. Maybe someday, but it just, even into the days when it was the Shah and NATO's secular Turkey, not modern day NATO's Islamicist Turkey, but even in those days, when maybe politically would have wanted to, as a bulwark against the Soviet Union, didn't build the railways. That's difficult terrain. So the terrain on building the railways, I totally get. But once you get the railways built and built properly, not just half-assed, but build it properly, the terrain really doesn't affect rail movement. It's the infrastructure of the level of the railways that would. So you move to, this is just why didn't I rebuild this forest? Well, if I could have rebuilt it, because I knew it was going to, at least I presumed, it was going to show up via event, and I thought it was going to show up back here. This wouldn't have been so terrible. Is getting it to catch up to the front line, and to the point that you've watched me have units that I strategically redeploy, and they never catch up to the front line. How the hell can that be? That's just wrong. This is why I'm still on this, and I know I'm talking to some degree like to the choir, as they sort of say. Enough of you have sort of agreed, and Django and I have discussed this enough, and he's on board with me on railways, and I'm sure there's multiple ways to do it, whether you do it simply or detailed. So railways are too slow here, are just too slow. It shouldn't take you very long to move the super cannon once you have the railway connections to Moscow. Shouldn't take too long at all. Get there. And if you sort of kind of know you're heading towards Moscow, and you sort of kind of, are going that way, you can move it, in stages and easily, and then the last little dash, a few days. But the railways also, we were, playing in the Japanese series of Hearts of Iron 4. Some of the stuff we were doing in Hearts of Iron 4 can't be done if you had railways, because the limited railway infrastructure here in China would have stopped and kept us from doing some of the stuff, sort of limited us to the more historical things, because of supply, because of everything else. That's why railways are so needed for this. And so the problem is like, and I think part of this is because they're compensating for their bad AI in Hearts of Iron 4, is that, oh, yeah, Austro-Hungary's fighting down here, and, fighting Romania or wherever it was, and then, oh, Italy declares war and starts marching slowly province to province, and then zip, 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 everywhere. You see quick redeployment via strategic deployment, super fast in Hearts of Iron 4, and I think maybe too fast overall, and definitely too fast to non-railway connected provinces, because if you look at a railway map in here, you're going to find a lot of these provinces, and I think still to this day, size areas don't have a rail connection, because you come here, you'll find huge numbers of these provinces that have zero railway connection. Well, unless these are all mega provinces, like Phoenix is not, is this, they call it an urban, no, it's a desert, but Phoenix nowadays is a fairly urban center, but it's just this little thing. And so, yeah, these are mega. If you did German, European-sized provinces, these things here, if you did that for the U.S., you would find in the western U.S. so much of it completely devoid of railroads. And about as many as proper, highways, proper big highways. But you come here, these provinces are more reasonable size, you'll find almost every one of these provinces, have a railway connection. All of these provinces here have railway connections. Now, they might not be, huge railway networks within here. Now, New London, Providence, Rhode Island here, New Haven, in Connecticut, Hartford in Connecticut, New Haven, Hartford, New Haven, Colt, Winchester. Those are gun manufacturers. Springfield Armory. That was the government's. There's a modern Springfield Armory company that's just sort of using the name and the symbols, has no connection, but this was the government arsenal. And yeah, these all had railway connections, well developed. That's why they built the gun. Because you've got to realize, the guns were the most industrialized, advanced technological objects sort of in their day, in the sense that they were very much trying to make, and it was sort of Colt who was the one who was really pushing it, was the interchangeability of parts in the factory line. Ford is, developed the factory line manufacturing system. He borrowed it from Colt. It comes out of the gun a generation or two before. It's the gun system in that which you don't have to have a gunsmith to put parts together in a gun. If you listen to an armorer, a gunsmith ruins a gun. Because to an armorer, you're supposed to be able to, part's broken, take part out of gun. Yeah, part's broken. Throw the part away, get new part, at least sort of an American style armor, put new part in. There you go, soldier. Because an armorer wants every single gun to have every single thing the same, so that you can switch them out immediately, rapidly, fast, where a gunsmith will fix things. Now, of course, if you're talking about an ancient gun, can't just get parts, so you try to fix re-weld a broken thing or manufacture a new thing to the original tolerances. Or, of course, you can try to improve the trigger, so it's a cleaner break, or a lighter touch on it, or whatever. A gunsmith smiths it. Well, the idea with Colt and the manufacturing is you didn't need gunsmiths to do part replacements. You just needed someone who could, with a screwdriver, unscrew it and hopefully recognize how it works, take the old part out, put the new part in. Of course, things like springs, and particularly springs, would break in guns, and if the spring breaks, the cocking, etc., doesn't work anymore, and you need to fit things in. So these were highly industrialized, highly technical for the 19th century manufacturing areas, and that's why Hartford, New Haven, Springfield were sort of at the cutting edge of that. In advance, Britain takes them longer to get true proper replacement part military weapons. Yes, you can have the energy. They get there, but it takes them longer. And so, yeah, some areas, you know, are touched with lots of railways in America. Other areas you get, especially, well, as you further, yeah, well, here this is highly dense. But as you get further and further west, it gets less and less and less. So it would be I mean, there are well, Death Valley, Keeler, Independence. Okay, Independence. Notice that's not a generic mountain because I did the California Pictures mod, and that is sort of that. Most Independence is this here. Even though this may be hills, or well, let's get here. This is mountains. Independence is flat. Is completely effing flat, with a mountain ridge going here, that if you want to get over to here, you got to go like up to here, or you got to go, and this is today, you got to go all the way around to here. There is basically the Sierra Madre Mountains, there is basically no way across this for an automobile. So yeah, commandos with, you know, or mountain troops, you know, that are using ropes to hoist up some artillery pieces and to hoist up some, you know, artillery shells could cross this. But wagons towed by horses can't get across this mountain system. So armies can't. This would be a place here to have one of those impassable lines that they do in Hearts of Iron 4. At least part of this here. Through this area, I have relatives that Independence is a really small town, people, but it's the biggest town in sort of this area of Inyo, Kern counties. Death Valley, that's sort of what Death Valley looks like. It's very, very dry, sort of picturesque, but very terrible to be in. I don't like going there. That's not what Baker's like at all. 29 Palms, that's not what it's like. That's a big nowadays Marine military base out there. Blythe is off also. That's what El Centro, this is what this looks like. If this is desert, which it is, I consider it desert, but it's scrub brush desert, not this. So yeah, so these provinces are too big, but it's still to this day. So there's a road, or sort of a nice, reasonable highway going up along this side of California. But once you get over here, you are cut off from all the rest of California until you go far enough south. I don't know exactly where it is. This is up here, Carson City. This is up where Reno, Nevada is here. So there's a in Carson City, which is more in here, I believe, is where the big silver find was. But yeah, there's rail links and whatever connection coming through here down into San Francisco. So either you got to go here to get there, or you've got to come down. And in the, you know, early days of building railways, you had to come almost, you know, down to sort of here. So this whole area here, you know, parts of it, like I say, are entirely impassable to any sort of modern military force moving in any sort of way. And yeah, sure, you can get mountain troops across it, but once you get, you know, if you can fly it, now flying, obviously there's a different calculus here, but there is no way to get mechanized forces across that in any sort of thing. You could build a road like we were talking about earlier, could take a long time, but so it's just not worth it. So yeah, if we were to, you know, man in the high castle, sort of where I was starting with this, and you were to look at, you know, Japanese invasions, there are some serious choke points. You know, you could choke it here. I'm not familiar with, I've driven, I was too young to drive at the time, so I was younger than 16 or something. Last time with parents, sort of, you know, family vacation, driving up along the coastline, and I've done that a few times. Driven up to San Francisco, myself, up to north of San Francisco, just in that part, quite a bit, up into Sonora area, kind of a lot, Sacramento, Orville, no, yeah, just sort of this area. Reno is about as far north as I really sort of know. you know, as in know the terrain and know the situation there. So the sort of northern bit of California I'm not really good at, but I'm going to suspect, because the way the river cuts through here, there probably is a pass through here. But a lot of this is probably very similar to what's going on down here, in that you're not going to get through. So you've got a defensive line here that you'd hold here with, you know, a brigade, a division, a battalion, a bit more here. And then come down, then you're fighting here, and then you got basically deserts, and you know, you have, this is Las Vegas, you know, so you have these choke points that even if man in the high castle situation happens and Japan lands troops, you've got a choke point sort of here, you got another sort of choke points out here out in the deserts to fight around in. And trust me, the Japanese, with their lack of motorization and even trying to, you know, capture cars and trucks, it's going to help them a lot, but if there's even simple sabotage to it, they're not going to get very far. And the U.S. militia divisions of guys just going out, getting their guns and getting in pickup trucks and forming, you know, militia divisions, are going to really be able to, trust me, stop the Japanese. And however much Indians at the time or now may dislike the European conquest of the Americas, they aren't going to help the Japanese, and they're going to be nice scouts, because you can, you know, the Navajo code talkers and others, they, trust me, they would have been helping fight. And I also know some Native American tribes up here. Some of the reasons I was going up here in the past, but yeah, they wouldn't. So yeah, you could maybe have an you know, large invasions take the coastal areas here, you know, and you look at these mountains. You're not going to be moving very far. Yeah, I know Man in the High Castle, you know, has this sort of central zone as that, but I'm looking at Hearts of Iron 4, Hearts of Iron 3. Even you don't have to defend. You know, have a U.S. Army all along here. You can stop it at a few choke points, dead, and then a few other areas here that, okay, there aren't choke points here. I mean, it's just, the biggest is that it just sort of, I mean, there are, oh, yeah, within here, 29 Palms, some areas, yeah, mountains, you're not, there's, you know, a mountain range that might go from here down along to here that would be impassable. You know, obviously this is too big of a province, so you might very well get areas that a province here versus a province here cannot connect, but you can get around them. And so if you did a nice detailed look at the infrastructure, mountains kind of thing, and this is a similar sort of thing if you were to look here, honestly, in Switzerland, some of these, if you were to draw some of these, you know, the Matterhorns and whatnot, really might not touch each other, especially, you know, if you were to draw it right. So, because this wasn't a factor in any of the wars, and Paradox doesn't really do a good job out here. And so this is why, again, railroads, you know, like I say, some of this can be done with better, and obviously we're looking at Hearts of Iron 3 here, but with that, you know, sort of red line that you can put between provinces that don't connect. So you do some of that with that, you know, some of the, you know, true choke points. The rest come down to, do you hold the railways, you know, and, you know, do smaller provinces, do you hold the railways, and so, you know, so like, let's say that you hold the railway here, and hold, there's one coming through somewhere around here at this time into Arizona. And so, you know, let's say you hold here, and you try to push around here, at some point you're going to be starting to starve because you're not getting supplies. And the forces that you could push through and supply would be very minimal, that would take not divisions but, you know, battalions and brigades reaction force to stop them. That's why, now I know to a European it's all lost on them, because all this is all railroaded up at this time period. If you look at a map, just all railroaded up, so it doesn't affect this like it does here, you know, way out here in Russia, because it's the same thing out here. Bit flatter, bit less of a choke points from natural terrain. But that is why anything I would design and do would have railroads. Railroads could be very simple, could be 0 railroad in a province, level 1, 2, and 3, and level 1, 2, and 3 affect how much supplies move across it and how much bombing damage it can take, and a few other sort of factors, and that could be as simple as that. Now, of course, you could go out in 1 through 10, and you could do factors like in any one, 24-hour period, how much battalion weight of units can you move on the railroad. I wouldn't try to simulate actual numbers of, except for an overall effect, either how much locomotives or rail cars you have. I would just more simulate how much. So if you have a single level, level 1, whatever that means, rail connection through an area, you can only move so much battalion weight of units across in a given period of time. So you can't take a stack of 20 fully armored divisions and move them all at once at the same thing from province to province to province. You got to sort of string them out strategically. Try to work something like that out. Now, of course, as you're moving through here, okay, you've heard me. I'm on a jihad about this. Sorry. Okay, we're here. That's one of the things I'm sort of waiting for. Okay, might as well just detach you and detach you from wherever your command structures are because they're too far away to help. And you're middle of Africa now. You're too far away. Yeah, maybe I should have sent the Africa Corps because that's where a lot of its units are. We got other units. We'll attach them if we get them back down here. Now, yeah, oh good, you made it to here, so now you get to attack into here. Yeah, you're not likely to ever rejoin. And here's, what does our opponent look like? Too good. Okay. Stop attacking, because you're going to counterattack you. They had been successful pushing a bunch of these Belgian units out, and then the British gave the Belgians the 11th Armor, and that was too much. Okay, especially coming across that river. Damn, I wanted to get Elizabethville. Lots of resources and lots of stockpiling's been going on for rare materials, but we'll get there. We'll get there. They'll counterattack now, but we won't be totally disrupted. So, okay. Join up. Oh no, I hit the wrong damn button. Okay, well, yeah. That's what we want to do, actually. We definitely want to make sure I get those 3 units. Yeah, that's nice, fast unit. Yeah, that's an alright unit for rough terrain. Okay, so is that everybody here? Yep, okay. Yeah. The only question is, do we try it with this, or do we... Oh no, you're over here. I think we should do these, guys. You came to deliver them, that's right, but then you were gonna come here and pick up. Oh, cancel here to here. Rebase, yes, because we want to pick up these guys. Invade with them. African Army recruitment has advanced. For some reason, I'm not getting my Ascari. Don't know why. Maybe I gotta get Kenya, Nairobi, or Mombasa, or whatever. Think so. Then we should be seeing a bunch of African units become available via decisions. Punish the enemy, no. Okay, yeah, none of those. Okay, you stop attacking. You've joined the attack. How are you doing? Fair, but they're doing very well. And they're taking forever still. We're down to one division who's actually in combat. Okay. Oh, they got a little scraped by this unit. But I've got a bunch of air power moving around here. So hopefully, yep, counterattack. Knew it would happen. Didn't realize they would be there. Okay, how are you guys doing? Okay, you're gonna do okay, I think. Yes, you may have energy. You can have fuel, and no, thank you, Italy. What are you doing other than nothing? Okay, elite commandos, very nice. And we'll stop that. And what else? Okay, TAC pilot training. Yeah, that's at 44, that's a definite stop. And we'll switch that over to nav tactics and well, we'll do that. One thing I just remember seeing that one, keep forgetting about these guys. Guess we can bring them somewhere. We have the Atlantis out here operating. Are you getting anything? Yeah, look at the, yeah. 2 convoys and 4 convoys. So these guys are really working well. Must still be lend-leasing to the Soviets or something. Even though Soviets are at peace with me, but they may still be lend-leasing to them. Okay, guys. What does your path look like? Pretty well protected. Oh, some submarines. Well, come down here. Come down to Singapore. And we now have... well, Panzer Army, I forget. We may need to expand this down here. And expand you, probably. So, well, I want to look at the terrain. Because we have mountains here and mountains here. I don't doubt mountains, but I doubt snow. I'm not saying no snow. Someone from India wants to tell me if whether it snows here. I'd love to know. Come to there. You can assault the mountains. You can go into the hills and forests. You probably should be promoted to a higher rank. But look at how these guys are some of their grinding the long battles. You move down that way, you come that way. Not that you really needed to, but might as well. Okay, sort of burst. Oh, no, we are. I don't think we are yet. Bombay. Supplies, supplies, supplies. And that should be... Yep. Port level 10, it looks like. Good. I mean, the fraction of a... IC is nice once it repairs, but not why that's so important. India will provide some ICs, but it's much more for at least Germany. Oh, good. Oh, good. That's all coming that way, so that's doing pretty good. We need to clean up some of this, so you come up here. Are you going to take them or not? Yeah, so far you're doing good, yeah. These guys aren't... No, they've exhausted themselves and thrown themselves in. Okay, so they're doing okay. Oh, you ran out of steam because of fuel lack. Okay, well, attack there. Did you have enough supplies or fuel to start that? Now, mentioning that, I have been doing some... But those are okay. That could use... Let's see, there I am doing some building, so let's up supplies and let's move that to the top just. Hearts of Iron, both 3 and 4. I've not played. I've recently acquired, because of one of the sales, Arsenal Democracy and The Darkest Hour, sort of games based on Hearts of Iron 2. Not played them, not even installed them. Not that I don't want to or won't, just haven't. So I don't know them well. I know Django, developing, your good friend now. Oh good, you're here, and we have shipping for you. South Africa is fairly rough terrain, I think. Yes, mountainous, so mountain divisions will be useful down there. So, well, at least come here, because you got a lot rebased to here. Is very familiar with and talks really well about some elements of Hearts of Iron 2, and that some of those elements may be doing better than any of the other, and so I'm totally believing him, but just the idea that but I just don't know it well, is my point. They do some of this stuff really well. I mean, no game before Hearts of Iron 4 produced individual equipment like tanks and rifles and artillery pieces in a strategic based production situation. Some games may have produced individual aircraft. You could argue whether Hearts of Iron 3 sort of does that in a way. Well, not individual but air units, but individual aircraft. I don't know that anybody's doing that. Any ships definitely as units were already done in, you know, Hearts of Iron 3 as individual ships. So, you know, there's some stuff that's really super great in 3, and there's some stuff that I still just think they do better. Now, I love this on-map hierarchies. I love this. I understand that that's too much for a lot of players. Maybe not any of you who are watching, because you're this far watching into this series, so it's not too much. Some of you may not like it as much as other elements. So I get that there's some elements that some people don't like, and then I also get that there's elements that suck because they don't work right, like supply, you know, and other things. So people bitch and moan about it just because it doesn't work well. And that was direct fire unit. Okay, which is here. Okay, we've got that out to 44. 44 resistance. We're not doing any resistance cells, so that's why I haven't researched any of that. Air amphibious unit training. Well, yeah, okay, we can improve our Marines. That's basically what that's doing. And our naval infantry in a few units, but yeah. So that's why I want to play this. That's why I want to play 4. Because they're doing some things very right. Okay, you're going to get reorganized up. And we've won there. And yes, there, that skirmish keep happening. Okay, now that you've organized back up, jump into the fight. Sort of wanting to focus on these and not add in the river crossing situation there. Oh, well, start going back there. I don't want them to retreat here if we don't need to. Okay. Twin engine armament research has advanced. Very good. Very good. Okay, well, let's do engines, because engines are affected by everything, so let's just do that next. I know we can do some of those, and we will at some point, but Argentina, no, we're not doing crude oil. Ooh, we're low, but looks, because we could, I could arrange an invasion here, but steal that out from the Japanese. They've got here, and if I invade here, they'd probably get that oil, Balipong. I think that's what that is, isn't that? Oh no, that's Balipong, right? Okay. Yeah, I know it had a different name, but I knew that was one of the main oil things. And Miri, so that's most of the Dutch oil. I think there's some oil here that they've already secured. Ooh, that'll be good. 12. Because that 12 would, well, no, but that would help. And 21. Yeah, well, we've still got plenty of fuel, so whatever. I say that and I'm worried. Okay, we've won the Battle of Mombasa. Great. I know they're still retreating into it, but oh, they look like they're gonna get there soon. Keep moving, keep advancing. And we've won here, so okay, good. Schroner's won again. Oh. Okay, come into there. Come into there. You never did get in the fight. Unneeded. Unloved. Okay, let's bring in supplies into here. No, we don't want to go that way. We want to go out of Kiel looks like a good option, and Altea, like that. There we go. That way we don't starve these guys out. I know we're supplying up into here too, but and let's save this. Save game. Yeah, these are getting longer and longer to save. Originally they were like 48 megs. That sound right? 48 something or others for a save game file. Now mine are like about 65 megs or whatever it is of data to save. So lots and lots of stuff that they're, let me say, that's part of it. Part of it's other issues. And we're just going to wait, because if I'm not patient, it'll crash. And we don't want to crash. I'm talking to fill the time. Partially I'm talking so that you understand what's going on. And so if you get this, and so long as that little time, pocket watch thing is going around, even if the music sort of dies, so long as it's going around, generally speaking, you're still saving that game. There you go. And just let it go, and then you can save it, and then I normally suggest a restart, but I'm doing that a lot more now, just because, like I say, the saves are bigger and things. So thanks so much for watching. Thanks for liking the videos. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel, and of course, please post questions, suggestions, comments, corrections. Love hearing from you. See you next time for more Hearts of Iron.